Hello and welcome back to Simon's Rants. I'm Simon, and today I'm giving a full breakdown of Bo Burnham's Inside Netflix special. So, I said in my first thoughts that I wasn't going to get into spoilers. I lied. I changed my mind. I've been thinking about it too much, and I just needed to talk about it again. So, yeah, I'm going to do a full breakdown, go through every song, every interlude and intro and everything, and break down, give you my interpretation or understanding of what he's talking about, as well as give a basic review of it. But if you want a smaller, shorter, spoiler-free review that's kind of just overarching the whole thing, I do have a first thoughts, so check that out if you want that instead. Also, if you have not seen the special yet, do not watch this video. I do not want you watching this video unless you've watched it. So go watch it. It's on Netflix. If you don't have Netflix, find somebody who does and watch it there first. So to start off, we have the intro where he talks about content, delivering content. And right from the start, we have great music and great imagery. It's very low budget. It's got this disco vibe thing to it where he's got a headlamp doing this light onto the disco ball that makes this great light show, and it's obviously low budget. He's doing it all himself, and right from the beginning we see that he is able to make amazing imagery all on his own. I also do really like the line where he says,
"If you'd have told me a year ago that I'd be locked inside of my home, I would have told you a year ago. Interesting, now leave me alone."
Also from this, I learned that his first name was Robert. I honestly didn't know that before this. Interlude 1. We've got more artistic shots and good imagery here. Once again, all of the imagery and the cinematography, the shots, the shot decisions, the shot locations, everything, how it's used and how it works is really well done. I've talked before, I love Bo Burnham as a filmmaker, not just as a comedian. I love him as a comedian, musician, everything, but his filmmaking is astounding. I really do hope that he gets into filmmaking again at some point, because 8th grade was amazing, and I think it would be a shame if he didn't make anything else. But so this scene does a really good job of setting the tone as being an ominous undertone throughout the whole show, with a slow zoom in on the camera while a low note plays, because as you come to see, the camera is representing the audience, which in all of Bo Burnham's specials has a certain vague idea to it, whether it's the audience is bad, the audience is good, or somewhere in between, a mixed feeling. And this, along with all of his specials, it does have a very mixed feeling about what the audience is and how it affects Bo Burnham. And it's also spliced with pictures from Bo later on in the special with the long hair and the beard, looking very tired and depressed, which is very symbolic, and it's a good way to just set up the feel, the vibe of what this show is going to be like. So then he goes into his first full song, which is, I call it Joking at a Time Like This. None of the official song names have been put out yet as far as I know, so I'm going with my best guess at what they are. But I really like how this song has a laugh track after especially unfunny moments that aren't intended to be funny at all. It's got the laugh track, which harkens back to his previous work from Make Happy, and maybe even before that, but especially Make Happy, with the finale of that climax song with the Can't Handle It Right Now song, where he's talking about no matter what you say, people will laugh at it. They won't listen to what you're actually saying, they're just going to laugh at it, which has been true for the entirety of his career. You can see it in multiple videos, so he makes sure to put that in there because that's how a live audience would react anyway. So even though he doesn't have one, he brings them with him, at least the obnoxious ones, by having that as part of his song, and I really appreciate that. The overall theme of the song is that he feels guilty for joking when the world is falling apart. He feels that there's a guilt in being a comic or a comedian in this time. And it's not the most deep of tracks. We've heard a lot of comedians and entertainers talk about this before, but it is something obviously very personal for him, and it's something that sets up this whole rest of the show, because it is a common theme throughout the rest of the special that he's not entirely sure if what he's doing is the right thing, because it's easy to feel guilty when you feel like you're doing something so selfish and so pointless when the world needs real genuine help and you're just telling some stupid jokes. You will actually also see throughout the rest of the special that there is a severe lack of jokes compared to the usual stand-up special, even from Bo Burnham, who is normally less jokes than the average comedian because he's focused on a more introspective, serious side to things. This is even more leaning that way than any of his other specials. Bo ultimately knows that it's helpful and good for people to be able to find a distraction from all the bad things in life through comedy and through laughing, but he also knows that how pretentious it is, which makes him torn because he does want to help people and help himself by entertaining because that's good for him as well, but he feels like it's a pretentious thing to do because it's asking people to stop paying attention to important things to pay attention to him. So he knows it's a bad thing and he feels guilty about it, but ultimately he doesn't feel guilty about it enough to stop doing it. He's not ultimately saying that comedy is useless, he's saying that it feels useless, and he's questioning if it does have any real help to it at all. He's not saying it doesn't, he's saying that he's not sure. Which is another big theme of this one, I feel like, is he's come to more of a realization in recent times that he doesn't have answers to things. So in this special, he poses a lot more questions, he doesn't give as many answers, and I really do appreciate that about this as well as many of his other songs in this special. The next interlude, he gives a somewhat bizarre explanation of what this special is. It feels out of place to me, and it has a rather obvious setup payoff joke, which I don't really like it, but maybe that's kind of the point. The good part about this interlude is that he is underlying and underscoring the fact that this show is ultimately about him. He did make it to entertain people, but most importantly, he made it to entertain himself. He cares vaguely about people, but he cares about them only so much. He really cares about himself a lot and made it first and foremost for himself, which is another key theme that you will see keep popping back up in this special. From here, he moves on to his next song, which is Facetiming with My Mom, which I don't like this at all. Throughout this special, like I said, he makes less attempts at just straight comedy for the sake of comedy. And when he does, they seem to fall flat a little bit because I feel there's a bit of disingenuousness in it. And this one really stands out as feeling really disingenuine because he's previously mentioned in other specials before in We Think We Know You From What? He's got that conversation where the agent talks to him and he says, hey, why don't you make a relatable, goofy song about Facebook? This feels like that to me. I know it's FaceTime, not Facebook, but these jokes are all jokes we've heard before. There's nothing interesting or new about it. It's kind of just like a, ooh, look at this boomer who doesn't know how to use technology. Isn't it funny? Or just the struggles of talking to people on the phone. It's nothing really original or different. It's not a bad joke. It's ultimately just not really a good joke either. And since it's not particularly original, it doesn't really seem necessary or worth adding in. Really, it's just kind of a filler joke to me. I think we'll also see that part of the process of making this was trying to come up with good, funny material and ultimately being frustrated with the fact that he wasn't able to. So even the best comedy songs that did make the cut aren't his best work, and I think he's aware of that, but I think he still included them because it was part of the creative process of trying to make something and ultimately being frustrated into making something else entirely, which is a much more introspective piece than a comedy special. In the next interlude, we actually have somewhat of a bizarre moment as we see Bo not really doing anything at all. He's just kind of wasting time, it seems like, or at least preparing for something. But there's actually a small moment in there that if you blink, you'll miss it. In the bottom right corner, we see Bo Burnham playing a video game with a headset and a controller. This comes back up later, so I won't really talk about it now. I'll get into that later when it becomes more important and actually makes sense. Next up, we have How the World Works, featuring Socko, the sock puppet. To me, this was actually a bit of a throwback to some older style Bo Burnham songs where it's a very upbeat, quirky, happy-sounding song about a very cynical and dark subject. And I actually really enjoyed it a lot. I'm not saying that it's the best on it, but at this point this was my favorite song so far, easily. It's pretty basic observational comedy. Once again, it's just saying how bad the world is without really offering any solutions. But what really makes this hit home for me is that Socko, the sock puppet, does try to offer a solution of education and self-education as a solution to the problems of the world, with everybody fighting each other and everything being wrong and being controlled by the government and all these things. But in the end, the person with the solution to the problem is actually gotten rid of by the person that has the power, which is a nice little slightly hidden message. It's not that hidden, but it's still a little bit obscure. that it fits in with this theme, and I really do enjoy it. The next bit we have, which I list as an interlude, but is kind of more of a traditional stand-up bit or a sketch or something. Almost feels like a YouTube sketch comedy bit where we have brand awareness. It's a painfully accurate representation of what it's like to live in modern day America, with random brands just constantly shoving different messages down your face in hopes that you're going to buy it because, oh, Nike supports Black Lives Matter or gay rights or whatever it is, and they're all just doing it to get on your good side. It's not about buying the best product anymore. It's not about buying things you need. It's about buying things because this company tells you something you like to hear, which if that was a genuine statement by the brand, sure, but that's not how big businesses work. If it's some locally owned store on the corner and they're saying Black Lives Matter or gay rights or whatever thing you want to support, that would mean something. But Nike or Disney or whoever's saying it, it means nothing. And so I really did enjoy this bit. It's not really laugh out loud funny, but it's a very tongue-in-cheek, cynical look at it, which I really do enjoy because it's another piece of Bo Burnham comedy. We've got the over-the-top, happy, giddy thing right before this with the Socko song and the Socko bit, and then we switch to a very cynical, low-key take on a modern issue that I do enjoy a lot.
And you've got a choice as a brand. You can hide and bury your head in the sand and hope it fixes itself, or you can roll up your sleeves and get to work and sell Butterfingers.
From that, we go right into White Woman's Instagram. The visuals really do save this one to me because, once again, the visuals, the style, the cinematography, everything about it's so hilarious, amazingly well shot and done and edited, and the music's really good. If you look at the song straight up, once again, it's pretty bland, and it's something that we've heard a million times before. Who hasn't made fun of these kind of jokes, like the pumpkin pictures and the, whatever, misquoting things on Instagram? Everybody's already made this joke. Bo didn't really add anything again to this to make it worth saying again. It really feels like he probably could have found this on Reddit or something and just stole it. It doesn't feel like a new joke that he came up with. Next, we have another interlude where he talks about, is it necessary for everyone to express their opinions all the time about everything? And this feels a bit frustrating at first because you're like, well, you're a comedian, you literally do that for a job. But then he's self-aware enough to then turn that onto its head and say, yes, I know. I know that's what I do. Is that fine? If I'm telling everybody else to shut up, if I find it annoying when everybody else does it, why do I keep doing it? Why do I keep begging for attention? And he doesn't have an answer, or at least he doesn't like the answer that he has, so he doesn't give it. The honest answer that he does have is that he prioritizes himself above other people. And that is another theme of this special. And I like the progression of this because he doesn't say it yet. It will come up later and we will talk about it more later, but he doesn't say it yet because he's not ready to admit it yet. This whole special is a process, and I really love how it's laid out. It's a train of thought shown to us. And it's especially made great because it is happening before our eyes in a specific direction, but it's also sporadic because that's how his mind worked over this time. All of these specials that he has, pretty much this is how all comedians work, but especially Bo Burnham, all of his specials are just a collection of thoughts that he had over the process of making that special. And for him, it's very personal thoughts, very introspective thoughts, and very self-centered thoughts. And so he's having these self-centered thoughts and he questions them more and more, and they're led in different directions, and he comes up with different solutions and different dead ends. And when he has these struggles with mental health, which he will get into more later on in this, he brings that into it too. So it's all really fascinating, and I really do love it. I mentioned it in my first thoughts of this video, but ultimately this is an art piece more than it is a comedy special, and I really do love that about it. Not his funniest special. It's not. I also said in my first thoughts that I think Make Happy is a funnier special. This is the most artistic piece he's ever made, and it might be the best piece he's ever made. Honestly, because it's so artistic, it's so well done, and the fact that he was able to do so much so well with so many limitations, it is astounding. I'm just floored and shocked every set, every song number, every time something happens. It's so well done, and all of the things that he accomplishes are so well thought out. it is astounding, every part of it. So then he moves on into his next song, which is the Unpaid Intern song. What makes it really funny to me is that halfway through a little scat, there's a hard cut.
'Cause you're an intern.
Unpaid.
Hey everybody.
It's hilarious. It's the first genuine laugh that I had watching this special, a first belly laugh, first laugh out loud moment for me. It's one of the few benefits he actually had from making this at home without an audience, was he could use editing tricks like that. If he was doing this before a live audience, you can't have a hard cut like that. You can have a sudden stop, but that doesn't have the impact of a hard cut. So he used that well. It was very effective. I laughed. I liked it. From there, though, he moves into a reaction where he parodies like reaction videos from YouTube, where he sits there reacting to the song that just happened. And at first, this comes off as incredibly unfunny to me. It really does. The first loop is incredibly unfunny, but then it keeps looping more and more, where he's reacting to himself reacting to it now. Now he's reacting to himself reacting to himself reacting to it, and so on and so forth. It keeps getting deeper and deeper, and that's when it becomes a really good piece. This is the perfect representation. Anybody who's a chronic overthinker, like I am and like Burnham is, really relates to this moment so much, because the overlaying of these thoughts that are being made deeper and deeper and more convoluted and more frustrating and more detached from reality, that's the way that like his brain works and how my brain works. And I just love this moment because you see the frustration that it causes of not being able to do just a simple task. Everything becomes a nightmare because you focus on it and overthink it to the point of absolute frustration, absolute chaos, and that's what this moment becomes. In his previous stand-ups, he has these moments. He normally builds up to them a little bit more with stand-up comedy and goofy songs. In this, he cuts to it a lot quicker. He gets to it a lot quicker than he normally does, which isn't a bad thing, but it can be shocking for a first-time viewer. From there, he has a mini song about Jeffrey Bezos. This is obviously a lead up to when Jeff Bezos was about to become the richest man alive. Don't really get the joke here. Don't really get the purpose of this one, gonna be honest. His point probably is to be mocking the people making a big deal out of it as if it weren't a big deal, which I guess that's a matter of opinion. But once again, this bit is saved by a hard cut with the scream at the end of it.
I don't know about you guys.
It is funny, but it is a bit repetitive because we just had a hard cut previously, but it is one of only two that he does throughout the whole thing, so it is effective, and I do like the placement, and he doesn't do it again, so I don't think he quite overplays it. Next, he moves into a little monologue, a little one-sided conversation talking about how digital corporations are profiting off of kids, and it's true. I think it's honestly probably more him being frustrated with the reality of it and the realization of it than it actually is trying to be funny. Next up, we have the Sexting song. What makes this song so funny is the stark contrast with which it portrays sexting and how it works in real life versus how like rap music and just pop music in general portrays how hot and sexy sex is at all times, because in reality it's not, and to an even lesser extent sexting is not. And so it shows how awkward and painfully embarrassing it can be, and it is a really good moment. It's not laugh out loud funny, but it's kind of like a, yeah, that's how it is, kind of funny. From there, he moves on to the next interlude, which is a bit of a YouTuber video parody. I don't find this funny either, because once again, it's something that's been joked about before, but he doesn't add anything into it new or different. Again, I guess he wanted to make a YouTuber type style interlude to make fun of the fact that this was going to be like a YouTube style video in a way, because he's going back to his roots in a way of filming at home alone. He's doing this like, thank you so much for subscribing, and the joke is he's holding a knife as if he's threatening you. That's the whole joke. I've heard many people joke about this subject before, about how, you know, YouTubers pretend to be friends with their subscribers but don't actually like them. They're actually using and abusing them. I've heard a lot more accurate jokes and funnier jokes than this. I mean, I get where he's going with it, but it felt like an incomplete idea. Like, he was like, I should make fun of this. I don't know how, so I guess I'll do this. But he does follow that up with a song called Trying to Be Funny, or Stuck in a Room, whatever he calls it, I think is reflecting on the fact that he is struggling to be funny. Like I was saying before, a lot of the comedy in this special, the comedy that is comedy for the sake of comedy, that doesn't have a deeper meaning, that's not introspective, is just haha funny comedy, does fall flat. And I think this song really is where we first start to see him talking about the fact that he doesn't know how to be funny, really, when there's not people to entertain. He's trying to be somebody just in a room alone making jokes and playing songs. And it reminds him of being grounded as a kid and just being stuck in his room and not being able to go outside. I think also we hear later in this special him talk about how going outside and being stuck in a room is reflective of being, you know, social, being in society, being around people, being socially acceptable, and being seen and observed by people. So as a child, he was also in his room, as in he wasn't very social, and he also wasn't a celebrity yet, so he wasn't being observed or viewed by people in society. So he feels like a child in multiple ways here, because he feels like he's been grounded and he's being punished, and he also feels like he's no longer famous. So that's a really interesting song that does, I think, make a lot of this make a lot more sense, and also put that last unfunny moment into a bit of a new perspective that makes it fit more. I don't think he thought it was an awful joke. I don't think he kept in any awful jokes or anything like that, but I think he kept in some jokes that weren't great, weren't his best jokes, because, like I was saying, it is part of the theme of this, that he's not being the funniest person in the world. Ultimately, this special is about him struggling to try to be funny and ultimately pivoting in that. But once again, I'll get more into that later. Next from that, he goes into his next song, Problematic, which is probably the funniest song to me of the special. I love this song. In this song, he gets more into dealing with his regret and wanting to apologize for things that he's done in his past. That is a bit controversial because it gets into the whole cancel culture thing, but he actually then flips that on its head in the second verse, where he talks about apologizing for the first verse, because he's talking in the first verse about being older and more wiser now. So he won't make those mistakes again. But in the second verse, he says that I'm older and wiser than I was in the first verse, so I won't say what I said in the first verse again. So that's both an interesting idea, because he's talking, therefore, about not apologizing as much, because the mistake, I guess, in the first one was apologizing. That's also not the main message of this song, because the main message of this song is continuing to apologize and try to appease people, not because you want to be a good person, because if you wanted to be a good person, you would just stop doing what you did before and become a good person. The apologizing and the appeasing and the crucifying of yourself, as there's a great image that he shows of him crucifying himself for the sake of being liked and being approved of. It's not about doing what's right, it's about being approved of, because he's willing to do anything that people want him to do in order to win over that approval. He doesn't understand it, he doesn't know why he's doing it, he's just doing it for their approval because they told him to do it.
Remember that Aladdin costume's in my mother's attic. He's a problem. I'm gonna go home and burn it. Or not burn it. Is burning it bad? What should I do with it?
And so I really appreciate that, because that's a really interesting perspective on the cancel culture that you don't hear all that much. It is a fairly basic idea, but I really did enjoy hearing it from the horse's mouth, so to speak. And I thought he did it with, once again, amazing music and amazing visuals, and he put his own spin on it. With some of the other things that I said I had a problem with, it was because he was saying things that I didn't feel like he put any kind of spin on it. This one, he may have said something that is similar to what I've heard people say before, but he put his own spin on it that was interesting and genuine and different than anything else. So I enjoyed this song, Problematic, a lot. It's, so far, of all of the ones I've talked about, easily the best in my opinion. Next interlude, he talks about turning 30, which actually ties in directly to the song that follows after that, which is also, as far as I know, called Turning 30. In this interlude, he outlines his frustration with turning 30 before finishing his project, as well as an overall look on his life, because he thought that he would have accomplished more by now before turning 30, because he wanted to finish the project before he turned 30, and he also feels like, as a whole, he hasn't accomplished enough in life by this point in time, turning 30. We go more into that into the song. We talk more about the things that he's accomplished in life, like he says,
when he was 27, my granddad fought in Vietnam. When I I was 27, I built a birdhouse with my mom.
This is also now when he addresses the fact of getting out of touch, how kids are telling that he's out of touch, and he says, well, at least I'm not getting destroyed by phones like you people are, which is kind of an out of touch thing to say, honestly. This is also something else that you see joked about a lot. I mean, every millennial, everybody our age, everybody that's getting older, we've all talked about this and joked about it, this awareness of like, oh, I'm 30 now or whatever, I haven't accomplished anything. Everybody in the previous generations had done so much by now. But once again, I feel like he does save it a bit with the good visuals and good music, but again, as the last song, with his own bit of a twist on it. Like, he has this really good line that I love where he says,
and now my stupid friends are having stupid children. My stupid friends are having stupid children.
And I enjoy that line. Even though it's not the most original of things, I do appreciate it and I do enjoy it, even though it is kind of just like the millennial thing to say that I've heard a lot of people say already. From there, he goes into an interlude about don't kill yourself, and he gives the most like basic, mundane reasoning why, just really cheesy, cliche things. It kind of rubs you the wrong way intentionally. And then from there, it shows himself later on in what I would guess is a depressive episode, watching that video back, hoping, I would suppose, that it would help him not want to kill himself. And it doesn't, because as he has been through, I'm sure, and has everybody who's been depressed and suicidal at a point, 99% of what you hear from people when you are suicidal is just stupid bullshit that you roll your eyes at. So I think he's talking about that and how much he's heard of that, because I'm sure that it's extremely frustrating for him to hear it as much as he has. But I think he is also pointing out the fact and realizing the fact that when he says this stupid bullshit, he's frustrated by himself. So it is interesting, because I think many times people who are depressed and have been through these issues tend to give the best, most real and honest advice in that situation, because they understand it better than anybody else. But I think Bo Burnham is realizing that whenever he gives advice, for him personally, it's not good advice, because he knows it's not good when he's saying it, and he can't come up with anything better to say, and he's sure that everybody that he's told it to has rolled their eyes, just as he internally is rolling his eyes at himself. So that's sad. Once again, there's no joke there. This isn't funny. There's no joke at all. It's not even tempting to be funny. It's introspective and it's sad, and that's a lot of this special, is just introspective, sad things. So, yeah. From there, he goes into his next song, I Don't Want to Know, where Bo reaffirms and says again that this is ultimately about him. This show is about him. It's not about entertaining you. It's about him. Because he asks, are you enjoying the show? And then says, hold on, I don't want to know. Because he does want you to like it. He does want you to like it, but he'd rather not know whether you did or not like it, and to be able to be content in not knowing, than know that you didn't like it. He both wants to entertain you, but he wants to feel good from it. So he cares more about himself feeling good than he cares about knowing that you liked it. Because he does want you to like it, but you liking it was part of what makes him feel good. So it's like, it's a symbiotic relationship. So he knows that ultimately you liking it is the best thing for him, but you disliking it is the worst thing for him. So he doesn't want to tweak it. He doesn't want to make it better for you. He wants it to be good enough so he doesn't have to worry about it and he can be content. That's what the point of this show is for him. It's not about entertaining you. It's about entertaining him. And then from there we go into another sketch comedy YouTube style video thing where he does like a gameplay playthrough parody, like a walkthrough of a game.
What's up, boys? Welcome to the stream. I'm going to be doing some live play today for the first time in a while. You guys have been wanting that, so we're going to do, what is the title? Inside. I've got a lot of requests for this game in chat.
It's just him pretending to play as himself in a video game. I know that he's trying to say that his life is really mundane and repetitive, and it feels like a series of meaningless tasks like a video game is, but he's using a joke that's been told before. So I get the point, I appreciate the point, but it doesn't make me laugh, and is a little bit on the edge of being cringy because it's something I've seen done before and done better before. So it's not bad, it's just not good. That, however, is immediately followed up by Interlude 10, where he has this moment of a spotlight on him in bed, and it is maybe the most artistic shot in the whole special. It's absolutely stunning to look at, and like, it just makes me hope to God that he makes another movie, because somebody this artistically minded who's not making art like that, it's just a shame if it doesn't happen. I don't know if he wants to make more movies or not. And even when he made 8th Grade, it wasn't like the most artsy-fartsy of movies. Like, it was pretty straightforward as far as filmmaking goes. This is so much artsier than that. All of his shows are. But I really hope that he does make something like that. I hope that's something he wants to pursue. If not, okay. Next up is Bag of Shit, or at least that's what I'm calling the song. This song, to me, is another filler song. It honestly just sounds like something that somebody would sing to themselves when going about mundane tasks in their own house, like taking out the trash or getting up in the morning, brushing your teeth, whatever.
Well, I feel like shit. Oh, shit. Feeling like a saggy, massive sack of shit. Oh, shit. Big ol' motherfucking duffel bag of shit.
It is funny and it's amusing, but it's not like professional stand-up comedian funny. It's just like a little tune you hum to yourself. I don't know. My friends do this. I do this. We don't get paid money to do this. I don't know. I don't know. That part wasn't great to me. Once again, it fits with the theme so far of his comedy being a bit lacking and him being self-aware of that fact. I think he did want to include good comedy. I don't think he intentionally set out to make bad comedy. I don't think he intentionally made the comedy bad. That's not something he would do. And I also don't think any of the comedy is bad. I think that he was frustrated in his lack of ability to make good comedy. So he centered around that as the main theme, or at least part of the theme of this special. And I'm not mad about it. But I will point out that the comedy isn't great, and that is okay. That's part of the message. That's part of the vibe, and that's just a give and take of it. That is part of why, like I said earlier, That Make Happy to Me is better, because it does have the poignant, introspective messages, but it is also hilariously funny. It's able to do both. This was much more focused on the introspective messages and less interested in the actual comedy. So it's about preferences with that. Next up, we have the next interlude, which is about his new mental health all-time low. And this is really interesting because it's a commentary on how void and empty it feels to take your depression and mental health problems and put them into quirky and upbeat comedy songs.
From the moment I wake up, I
Think I'm gonna die.
Yeah, so
It really drives home that Bo is honestly tired of doing it anymore and doesn't seem to see the point of doing it. And that's what I'm saying with the whole vibe of this special, feeling like it's just frustrated lack of ability to make comedy. And it feels like he doesn't even really want to do it that much. It's like he wants to be appreciated. He wants to have that entertainment out there, but he doesn't want to make funny. Or he can't make the funny right. And so he is trying to do it the best he can, but it's not coming together right. So he's giving what he does have. It is very hard to get through, but it is also so worth it to get through. From there, he moves on to his next song, Welcome to the Internet. It is, to me, a fairly typical internet bad take. Yet again, something we've heard a lot. But what makes this so good is that it is an extremely entertaining song. Also, the imagery is really good. The song is fun to listen to, and it's topped off by a really great Disney villain-esque villain laugh, which you really gotta thank the drama classes for that one. They really paid off.
Could I interest you in everything all of the time?
He goes into the fact that the negative sides of the internet and the good sides of the internet are interwoven. They're not exclusive from each other. They're all there together. And ultimately, what makes the internet bad isn't the fact that there's bad out there. It's the fact that we are socially pressured into knowing everything all the time. Because if we didn't feel that way, we wouldn't have to find all of this information. The information could just be there for whenever we need it. But there's this social pressure that if you don't know, you don't care, you're automatically evil and you're part of the problem. So he struggles with that. He struggles with that feeling. He struggles with that thought. And he's already got that ADHD type of mind, that overthinker mind, that he needs to know everything. So he is constantly looking into everything, no matter how bad it is for him. The personal side of it is what makes it work for me. and the fact that it's also, like I said, just a really good song. This is one of his most entertaining, upbeat, interesting sounding songs with absolutely amazing visuals. That is just astounding that he was able to pull it off once again by himself in a freaking closet. Like, it's absolutely amazing. From there we go into the next interlude, which is his almost done Freakout, where he comes to the realization that he is actually almost done making this, and he doesn't want to be. For the longest time throughout this special, he's been thinking that if he could just get it done, he'd be free, he'd be fine, he'd be able to go back to being mentally healthy. But he's realizing as he's almost done with it, doing this project is what has made him sane. It's kept him from going insane, because ultimately, this isn't about entertaining us. He's hammering this home again. This isn't about entertaining us. He'd be completely fine with never showing it to anybody and just keep making it forever because it's entertaining to him. He doesn't need to entertain us. He just wants to entertain himself and keep himself from going crazy. So it is the process, part of the artistic process of just realizing, I'm going to miss this when it's gone. And that's an interesting bit, and I really like it. And then, unfortunately, from there, we go into Jeff Bezos Part 2, which I don't get it. Obviously, it's right after Jeff Bezos became the richest man alive. I guess he's mocking that, doing it in a bit of a, congratulations in a mocking way, like a satirical, sarcastic way, because why does anybody care? He obviously does care, or he cares enough to talk about it. I don't know. There's a weird trend among people of hating people for being rich. I've never understood that. And he seems to fall under that category, and I don't know why, and I don't get it. So that rubs me the wrong way a little bit, but it literally lasts like 30 seconds and it's over. So once again, it feels pointless, but at least it doesn't last long. The next interlude, we have another bizarre moment where we have Bo Burnham's face light up as a disembodied audience begins cheering for him. I'm not entirely sure what the meaning of it is, but this is my guess. He starts very obviously scared and then turns into a grimace of a smile, leading me to believe that whatever he first saw first terrified him and then delighted him, but in a confusing way. It's possible that because of his mental health, he began hallucinating people that weren't actually there, filling the need that he believed himself to have. Maybe it has to do with his need for an audience. I took it as that hallucination about how he was starting to, in his mind, give himself an audience because of his isolation. But maybe it's not that. Maybe it's something else. That's just how I took it. The next interlude we go into there is about how the digital space is good and real world is bad. And this is represented in like a fake stand-up comedy monologue where he's talking about this as if he's talking to a crowd. And I think this is him making excuses for not going back outside ever. Or, once again, using that analogy of outside being society, outside being the world at large, outside being observed by people. And he's saying, I don't need to be observed by people. I found that the best way to exist is to not be observed except for when absolutely necessary.
One should only engage with the outside world as one engages with the coal mine. Suit up, gather what is needed, and return to the surface.
He does use a joke in there, a completely unrelated but kind of funny joke, like a stupid joke. He jokes about a pirate map and how pirates should have laminated their maps and taken better care of them to kind of show a bit of a parody, like a little snarky stab at himself almost, about how he mixes introspective comedy with just stupid one-liners. I think he annoys himself almost with it, where he's like, I'm trying to be taken seriously as this introspective person with these philosophical ideas, yet I joke about stupid shit. And so I enjoy that he's actually laughing at himself a little bit about that, or at least self-awareness. From there, he moves on into what I think has been the most popular song from the show so far, at least from what I've heard, which is There It Is Again, That Funny Feeling. Once again, this isn't really funny, it's not supposed to be. It's more of a Bob Dylan-esque campfire ballad commentary about the world in the past year. It is fairly basic in concept, but poignant commentary on how humanity is too divided to even save themselves from dying because we're too busy disagreeing on stupid things. There's great lines like a gift shop at the gun range and a mass shooting at the mall. Bo wraps it up by saying, "What can you do? We were overdue. but it'll all be over soon, as he has fully given up on humanity at this point, but takes solace in the fact that it will end soon, and with it, so will the pain and the frustration. A bit of a George Carlin-esque interpretation on life, which is, life sucks, but hey, it'll be over soon, so who gives a shit? It's a very depressing theme, but it is part of the escalation of where Bo Burnham has been mentally and how he views the world, which is, once again, really relatable, because it is so easy, especially this past year, to look at the world and say, I've given up all hope. I have no solutions. I have no answers. I've given up pretending to know how to fix the world. And even if I knew how to fix the world, I couldn't do it because not enough people would work with me to accomplish it. And so I'm just giving up. So I'm going to enjoy my time and hope it's over soon. Once again, it's not a funny song. There might be a couple of small jokes in there, but it's not really trying to be a funny song or any funnier than any of those kind of songs normally are. This is, like I said, a Bob Dylan type song, and it's a really good version of that. Bo Burnham, if he wanted to, could be just a professional, serious musician at this point. Bo Burnham has made himself at this point into a fully fleshed musician. He is demonstrating throughout this entire special that he musically is extremely talented, and he doesn't need to be funny to sell music. This song is poignant, it's sad, it hits hard, and it's really, really good. The next interlude is what I'm calling Multiple Takes, and it is possibly the most relatable thing of the whole special to me personally. It might not be to a lot of people, but it really demonstrates how artistic perfectionism mixes with a deteriorating mental health and depression and anger issues and a lot of things. It goes from showing Bo trying to say and flubbing a line multiple times to a complete outburst because he's just under so much stress. He just wants to finish it. He just wants to be done. He just wants to do it right. Ultimately, he wants it to be perfect, and that's what he's struggling with. So you see him go from an angry outburst to an emotional breakdown, just crying, just sobbing. And it is, to me, so raw, it's so real, and it's just ultimately really painful. But I'm thankful for it. I think it's one of the most real things he's ever put on camera. I think it's one of the most real things that I've seen anybody ever put on camera. And I really appreciated it. I really, really thought it was something special. Next up is, to me, the absolute best song of this special, which is what I'm calling Get Your Hands Up. To me, this honestly felt like a bit of a follow-up to Can't Handle This Right Now from the previous Make Happy special, but it is also a complete encompassment of the Inside special. There's laughter at non-jokes, there's a mental health struggle breakdown, and absolutely astounding imagery and music.
This last year has been, there have been times that,
With this song, Bo takes steps to try to fight past the insecurities and doubts of being a comedian and try to use the comedy to help distract people and help them get through things. He tells people to get their fucking hands up, get out of their seat, get your eyes on me, and don't overthink it. By inviting people to be entertained and watch him, he's inviting them to stop thinking about the problems that they're dealing with and to focus on him, his problems, and his comedy to forget about everything else. With this, Bo also outlines his struggles with mental health on how he was finally ready to perform again and how the pandemic tore all this progress away and now he's back to ground zero or maybe even worse.
5 years ago, I quit performing live comedy because I was beginning to have severe panic attacks while on stage, which is not a great place to have them. So I quit, and I didn't perform for 5 years. I spent that time trying to improve myself mentally. And you know what? I did. I got better. I got so much better, in fact, that in January of 2020, I thought, you know what, I should start performing again. I've been hiding from the world, and I need to re-enter. And then, the funniest thing happened.
Bo then turns to the fact that the world is ending and everything and everyone are fucked, but ultimately, he honestly cares more about himself and just wants to be watched and prayed for, or rather appreciated. He knows that he shouldn't care about himself more than others, but he does anyway. And although he has guilt in it, he's still enraged by the fact that people would think that things other than him are more important than him.
Get your fucking hands up. Get on out of your seat. All eyes on me. All eyes on me. Hey, come on. Get your fucking hands up. Get on out of your seat. All eyes on me. All eyes on me. Hands down. Pray for me. Hands down now. Pray for me. I say get your fucking hands up. Get up. Get up. I'm talking to you. Get the fuck up! Get your fucking hands up. Get on out of your seat. All eyes on me. All eyes on me.
This is demonstrated by his angry outburst, but it's also demonstrated by the fact that he personalizes the pandemic to be something about him. He acts as if the pandemic was a personal attack or punishment on him. He explains this further with the line about the world is ending, honey, it already did, because the world ending at large isn't important. The world for him already has ended. He only cares about the parts of the world that affect him. The whole world is ending, but only the parts that affect him matter to him. This song just blows my mind because it is so raw and so honest in the fact that he is trying to help people, but because helping people ultimately helps him. And he does care about the world ending, but he only cares about the world ending because it affects him. And to him, the world, in a lot of ways, already has ended. So the fact that the world at large is ending has kind of really stopped mattering to him, which addresses his other previous point in the other song about kind of just giving up and saying, hey, well, at least it'll be over soon. And this may sound extremely bleak and depressing and selfish, but honestly, it's something that I bet a lot of people can relate to. We're just not honest enough to admit it. If we want to stop the world from ending, what is anybody's motive behind it? Ending it because we're on it, or our descendants are. And what are our descendants but just copies of us, reasons for us to keep living. So to me, this is a great song. This is a great introspective piece that really encapsulates everything so well that really rivals can't handle this right now. I still might like that better, but this song is legitimately good. It's also great to listen to. It sounds great. It looks great in the demonstration. Once again, I love it. I love the raw emotion behind it. It is so, so good. The second I finished this the first time, I went back and watched it 3 more times, and I've seen it probably 10 times total already, even though it just came out yesterday. This song, to me, is easily the best part of it because it's so brutal. It is extremely brutal, and I love every second of it, especially his outburst. The angry outburst really shows that this isn't about the greater good. As much as he likes to pretend to be somebody who cares about things that are important, somebody that cares about saving the world, it's about him to him. And he was brave enough to admit that. And like I said, most of us aren't. We're not ready to be that honest yet. The next interlude after that, Bo returns to a monotonous normal life, which is the next morning. He even watches himself on his computer, showing that that has just happened, but he's acting as if nothing happened. And once again, this is extremely relatable for anybody who's had any sort of mental health breakdown or any sort of episode. The next morning or the next time you are aware and normal, you just are too embarrassed to even acknowledge that it happened, and you just go on about life as if you're not crazy anymore. And it is, once again, really well shown and really well executed. I'm constantly amazed throughout this whole thing about how much of an artist Bo Burnham really is, and how he can just put things simply and effectively and brilliantly. He is a genius. He honestly is. And then lastly, we have the possible ending song, which I'm combining with also the outro. I'm combining them because I feel like they really do go together and can't really be talked about one without the other. So Bo expresses once again his reluctance to finish the special. The thing that he hated making, he realizes that he will miss creating. Bo wraps up and summarizes the entirety of the special and questions his motives and meanings. He then realizes that throughout the process of making this special, he remembers exactly why he stopped in the first place, as he bears himself completely naked, literally, for everyone to see. Being brutally honest and not holding anything back is extremely hard and ultimately embarrassing. This causes him to realize as he exits the door that as much as he hated being trapped inside, he hates going outside even more. And although he walked freely out the door, he cannot go freely back in. The thing he wanted so badly for so long terrifies him, and he doesn't want it anymore, but now it's too late. there's no going back. He's back to having strangers laugh at his pain, and he's been put on display for all to see. But then he gives a smile to signify, at least they're laughing, right? He may be being laughed at, but at least he's got their attention again, and there's no going back. So once again, there's absolutely amazing imagery, amazing cinematography, acting, directing, writing. What an end to this special. What an end. To me, Bo Burnham isn't a comic. He's not a filmmaker. He's not a musician. He's an artist. That's the only way you can put it. He's an all-encompassing artist, and he's astounding at it. This show might not be the funniest show I've ever seen. It might honestly be Bo Burnham's least funny show. Not exaggerating. But it also might be his best for completely different reasons. After my first viewing, I thought it was good, not great, but I hadn't been able to get it out of my mind since, and I've now watched it 2.5 times, maybe 3 times, honestly, with all my viewings of that one song, and I can't get enough of it. It is amazing. Bo Burnham has done with comedy what no one else has ever done before. Not saying it's the best comedy special ever, but I'm saying that you'll never see anything like it. And it is absolutely astounding. It really is. It really, really is. I love the messages of it too, because it is brutally honest, which is what Bo Burnham is so good at. It talks about his mental health. It talks about his struggles with his acceptance of it. It also talks about his perspectives on the world and his indifference to it. It questions the importance of comedy. It questions the importance of integrity. It questions the importance of apathy. I still don't entirely understand it, but I love every second of trying to figure it out. It is astounding. It is amazing. And I already said it, but I'll say it again. Bo Burnham is a genius. So that's what I had to think. I don't know how long this video is going to end up being, but I hope you enjoyed watching it. I hope you stuck around all the way through it. And I hope you stick around to this channel. If you're new here, I know my last Bo Burnham video and the one before that, actually, they got a lot of views that I wasn't expecting it to get. So hopefully this one does too. If I'm being honest, that's half the reason I made it. I'm going to follow in Bo Burnham's footsteps here and be blatantly obvious. I made this to get views. Because that's why I make every video. Every video I make is to get views. So hopefully it got some, and hopefully you guys stick around. I make a lot of videos here. If you like this one, maybe you like some more. So please consider subscribing if you're new here. Also, please like, share, comment. It all helps. Thanks, guys. Bye.